Really excited to read the book. When is the 17-episode Netflix series Marin Style being produced? All right, thank you, Drake. So Drake was referring to my new book, A Paper Orchestra. It's a collection of personal essays. And I was also, years ago, the co-showrunner of Mark Maron's IFC show called Marin. And I'm going to share with you two really big lessons I learned from writing in that show. So first of all, that show was super low budget. And there were first season, only 4 writers in that show. Mark, and he had no experience working as a TV writer. My partner and I, and we were brought on because we did have experience working in TV. And one other guy, Duncan Birmingham, who had no experience, but he wrote the presentation of that show for free. And that's it. So it's just the 4 of us. And the pay was horrible. No one was getting paid well. And so the salary that my partner and I got with experience, our pay was terrible. But worse than that, we were splitting it because we're partners. So I was making half terrible. But no one was doing that show for the money. We were doing it for the experience, and we were doing it because we knew we could do something really great. So Mark would come into the writer's room. Well, he was one of the writers. He was always there. And he'd take an idea from his life. I want to do an idea about this. And it would be like a 20-second idea. It was my partner's and I job to turn that 20-second idea into a half hour of television, to figure out how to do that. And Mark would often, he picked these ideas were very vulnerable. And ideas like things that would not cast him in a good light. And I remember saying, Mark, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I want to do this. Because that was his thing. His thing is just the truth. I'm putting it out there for you. Here's the truth. And it made for really compelling television. And I give Mark so much credit for just his bravery for putting it out there. So when I was writing the book, I definitely drew on my experiences writing on Marin. Because before that, I was writing on sitcoms. But we were not doing that kind of writing. It was different. So this book, A Paper Orchestra, is kind of like my version of that show, Marin, only I'm at the center, not Mark. The other really important thing I learned from that show, and this is a life lesson. So not that long ago, Mark was no one. Like, he was a struggling comedian, couldn't get booked. He had a job as a radio host, but that ended. Like, he had nothing going on. One day he goes to his manager, and we made an episode of television about this that my partner and I wrote. He goes to his manager and he says, I'm thinking of starting a podcast. Now, this is before podcasts were a thing. The manager's like, what's a podcast? It's like a radio show that people have to download. Who's going to download it? I don't know. Who are you going to have as guests? I don't know. How are you going to monetize this? I don't know. Well, why are you doing it? Because I have to be creative. I can't just sit on my hands and complain about stuff. I got to do something. And so Mark did it. He created a podcast before podcasts were a thing. And it got so big, he put so much energy into it, and he was so good at it. It got so big that only a few years ago, Barack Obama was a guest on his podcast. The podcast is called WTF. It's one of the biggest out there. Obama came to Mark's garage to record the episode. Mark's garage, it's a shitty garage, cobwebs. And there's Obama, and there's a Secret Service in his garage. Like, that's a guy who did it himself. And then because the podcast got big, he got the opportunity to have a small show on IFC. But because that show was so well done, he got other TV opportunities. He got movie opportunities. He got specials on TV. And now he's a big comedian again. But this is a guy who started at the bottom. And so many people wave their script in the air. Here's my script, Hollywood. Make my script. That's not starting at the bottom. That's starting at the top. If you want to look at all the people at the top, where did they start? They started their careers at the bottom. So waving your script is starting at the top, guys. Start at the bottom. I perform my book, A Paper Orchestra, as a one-man show, also called The Paper Orchestra. We're touring with it. I got 4 shows in LA, 2 in June, 2 in August, then we're going to Monterey Bay, then we're going to Brooklyn, and then Chicago, and then we're adding cities along the way. And you can go here, michaeljamin.com/tickets, to learn more about the book and the show for tickets. I hope you come see me. But it's all inspired by my work on Marin. It's all about putting my work out, being just vulnerable. Hey, here's the ugly truth. And it makes a very compelling viewing experience. And I'm doing this in front of 50 people. Like, these theaters are really small. This is starting at the bottom, guys. I'm at the bottom. But you're Michael Jamin. Shouldn't you be playing Carnegie Hall? No, dude. I shouldn't be playing Carnegie Deli. Who the hell am I? I'm starting at the bottom. I hope you'll come see me. It's a great show. It's like I said, it's inspired by my work on Marin. It's funny, but it's vulnerable, and it's true, and it'll make you say, wow, I can't believe the guy's actually saying all this. Yeah, right, because that's how you make art. For tickets, go here, michaeljamin.com, and Drake Tungstens. Thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it.